Today, Joe Biden warns the mounted Border Patrol they will pay for that thing that they didn't actually do. Also, Chris Cuomo from CNN accused of sexual harassment. I know you are shocked. Try to grab your jaw up off the floor because the show starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. Happy Friday. I am Sarah Gonzalez. Today, it's a big show, and we've got an old friend and we've got a new friend, but I'd like to introduce the new friend first because I want to make sure that I get her name right. We have Samira Armstrong. Did I do it?
That was
perfect. Yes. Actress, conservative commentator. I love you. Can I just say that? I'm going to fangirl for a little bit. I used to watch you religiously every week on the OC. So to have you here is just really crazy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, but more importantly, love the work that you have been doing lately. I know you have been very outspoken on, the vaccine mandates, and you have been red-pilled.
Yes, absolutely. And Twitter, that's where we mostly communicate. Yes. So that's where all my vaccine stuff lands, because I've been threatened to be removed from Instagram. So you get the brunt of what I have to think about that.
Yes, of course. But yeah, thank you for all of the work that you have been doing on that. Also, the old friend, I mentioned an old friend, but I don't mean in his age. I mean, we haven't seen him in forever.
But kind of old.
Well, I wasn't going to be the one to say it. No, never. Newsmax host, Grant Stinchfield.
It's so great to be back here.
It's so good for you to be
back.
It's
been years since I've been on this program.
I can't believe it.
I know.
I can't believe it's already been a year. Yaku Buyans will be so sad that he missed you. I'll have to tell him.
We used to come on all the time.
Yes, I'll have to tell him that you were here. But it's going to be a fun show. So let's get into the headlines of the day. So let's go border first. So there's several different things, moving parts of this border situation that I want to make sure to get to, which includes Joe Biden, who is vowing that there will be consequences for these Border Patrol agents who, I know we've all heard the claims. Here's the picture that they say, well, obviously, he was whipping these Haitian migrants. First, they said with whips, and then they were like, all right, they're horse reins. But he's definitely whipping these Haitian migrants because he's racist. Look at him. He's white. His skin is white. He's on a horse. By the way, love the to-go boxes in all of these pictures. It's like
it looks like a Michael Kors purse.
I don't say that, or they'll steal that idea. I just love that this is a great reminder, everyone. This is your tax dollars at work. We are paying for them to Uber Eats all of these to-go containers and walk them across the border. But President Biden issued this warning. He said that these Border Patrol agents will pay. He said, look, I'm the president, so I accept, what has happened. It's on me. But these people will definitely pay. Here is Joe Biden on that.
You said on the campaign trail that you were going to restore the moral standing of the U.S., that you were going to immediately end Trump's assault on the dignity of immigrant communities. Given what we saw at the border this week, have you failed in that promise? And this is happening under your watch. Do you take responsibility for the chaos that's unfolding?
Of course I take responsibility. I'm president, but it was horrible what to see, as you saw. To see people treated like they did, horses barely running them over, people being strapped, it's outrageous.
Horses running them over.
They will be an investigation underway now, and there will be consequences.
You just could not make this any more dramatic. Literally none of that actually happened.
They will pay. They didn't hit anybody. I went back literally.
Well, they're going to pay for steering their horse, Grant.
I watched all the video. They didn't hit anybody.
No.
Well, that's what's so dangerous about a photo, because a photo can make it look like anything's happening, including a migrant getting to-go food and then being whipped by.
Right.
When the photos came out, at first it was like, oh, wow, here are the heroes on horses. And it was like this transgression to wait, we're reverting back to slave days, all of a sudden the narrative is. And they switched it so quickly.
Yeah. Well, I would just like to say, I said this yesterday, I don't want to speak for people who were slaves. I'm obviously not black, and I was not a slave, but I think that the people who were slaves would have loved to have been in the position to voluntarily cross a border and get handed free food. I think they would have loved the choice. I just think they would have loved the option.
And ultimately what we've learned today is that like 2/3 of them have already been let go into the interior of the United States, and off you go to freedom in the greatest nation in the world.
Which Joe Biden said specifically was not going to happen, that they were going to be sending them away in flights.
It's important to note here, though, first, is that right after this happened, Border Patrol issued a statement and said, those aren't whips, they're reins. We spin them to keep people away from the horses. Those guys are doing their job. Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, comes out and he throws those Border Patrol agents under the bus without even reading the statement from his own agency. And this is typical from liberal leadership, whether it's a police department throwing their officers under the bus or whether it's the Department of Homeland Security Secretary throwing his Border Patrol agents under the bus.
Right, let me get to this first, because this is, I want to get to Al Sharpton's visit to the border, but let me first get to the photographer who is now speaking up, the photographer who took these pictures that everyone is saying, oh my God, this is worse than slavery. They're obviously whipping these poor Haitians with their to-go containers of food. The photographer behind these pictures actually gave an exclusive interview to KTSM and said, I've never seen them whip anyone. He was swinging it, but it can be misconstrued when you're looking at the picture. But, you said it right. So, like, these people are using this as an opportunity, no matter what the facts are. And that's why we had people like Al Sharpton actually visiting down at the border. Now, I don't think that he got the reception that he was looking for, you guys. Let's listen to Al Sharpton going up there, talking about Border Patrol agents, basically vilifying them, using the same lines that we heard from Representative Maxine Waters of California. This is totally like slavery, you guys. Watch.
Is the former U.S. ambassador to South Africa, Patrick Gaspar, and to his right,
that's not the reception he wants.
Jennifer Jones Austin.
Kids are being sedated at the U.S. border. Why are you not being a voice for the children?
From Atlanta, Georgia, New Birth Baptist Church, Freddie Haynes.
Why are you showing racism where it doesn't exist?
Pastor of the Friendship West Baptist Church.
I love this. I love this so much.
Advocating for violence.
Rainbow.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So I love how he's looking behind him. Like, who is he looking for? Someone to come bail him out?
Well, he's naming off the people who are with him, like anyone cares. But he also looks like a character out of Star Wars in his getup.
Oh, he does.
It reminds me of when that clip of Bill Clinton, he's giving a speech, and then someone's like, "You're a rapist," and he's like, and you know, the way he looks, he's like, "Is this normal? That's not the reception that I'm supposed to be getting here."
I will say, we broadcast from Texas. We're in Texas right now. I live in Texas. God bless Texas. That's what you get, Al Sharpton. When you come down into Texas, that's going to be the reception you get. I think the last line in there was, "We don't want you here in Texas." And it couldn't be further from the truth.
And just to put a button on this, when we were at the town hall, Charlie Kirk said something that was really interesting. And he said that conservatives like to follow the rules and to play by the rule book. And it's time that we start behaving like Antifa does. Now, I don't think he meant like burn things down and like shoot fireworks.
Physical violence, sir.
But to get in people's faces and cause that sort of, commotion, to really flip the narrative and to use their tactics. In fact, I think we should go out taking pictures of people doing precarious things and create our own narrative to that extent that they did on the left all the time.
Yeah. Well, and I do like that you have this weird dichotomy now of a certain subset of the Democrat Party who has been radicalized to believe in basically open borders. And they're very upset at this treatment because they've heard for the last 4 or 5 years under President Trump that this was horrible.
Yes.
And they're just these mindless robots that, the sheep that go along with everything and like, yes, this is horrible. You're right. And they've riled them up for so many years.
Right.
But then you have the establishment who knows, you have the Nancy Pelosi's and Chuck Schumer's and the people who they know you can't actually have open borders. And so now they're fighting this internal battle of who's going to win out because you've convinced these people that this is what we need.
You see what's happening today. So Joe Biden's now blaming Secretary Mayorkas for the problems on the border. Certainly Mayorkas is to blame, but Joe Biden's to blame too. He's the fish rots from the head. He's the head. And so he's blaming now Mayorkas because the nation's turning on him in so many fronts. I mean, from Black Lives Matter coming out against the vaccine mandates to Democrat congressmen in Texas that are turning on what's going on the border. He's in big trouble with his poll numbers down. So he says, you know what? What does every Democrat do? They just blame somebody else. Yeah. So Mayorkas is now on, I'll bet you watch his chopping block.
That will be interesting to see. Is he going to get away with it? He's going to blame everyone else. Is he ultimately going to get away with it? Are the Democrats going to give him a pass on all of this?
Isn't AOC already came out sort of poo-pooing it, right?
Did she?
I think so.
Oh, I haven't seen. Yeah, me
Wouldn't
either.
surprise.
I mean, that's their MO. They get away with absolutely everything.
Yeah, well, because they have the media behind them too.
Not on this show.
Not this show. Not your show
not
either.
Not on Newsmax.
Not your show either.
No.
But I do wonder, especially, I mean, you know, when you've got Democrats coming out and saying, like, you've got to stop this guy. You've got to stop this because this is really dangerous for our communities. And you've got anti-Maxine going up to, you know, doing press conferences saying this is worse than slavery. That is.
Wouldn't it be nice if Secretary Mayorkas, instead of bringing in Al the Blowhard Sharpton, wouldn't it be nice if he actually met with Border Patrol agents down there to get exactly what's going on? Maybe meet with the men who were on those horses to explain what was happening there. But he didn't want to meet with any of them because they don't want the truth.
Well, wouldn't it be nice if our border czar, Kamala Cackling Harris, actually made a trip down there and wanted to do something, seek solutions, instead of trying to go over to The View where they have like a bunch of COVID patients out on set. Did you guys hear that?
No.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, so two of the hosts in the middle of the program had to be taken off set because they just found out that they tested positive for COVID and didn't know it.
I'm sure they're vaxxed. I'm sure they're vaxxed.
100%. 100. Yes, they were. 100%.
Another breakthrough case. That's some vaccine. Another breakthrough case.
It's just a coincidence, Grant. It's just a coincidence. In fact, we're gonna get into the vaccine stuff, and I really, really can't wait for it with these two people at the table. But I want to take a quick break first. Let's go ahead and thank our sponsor, Bonner Wine, which I do have. Listen, when you drink wine like I do, you have to keep it everywhere at all times, which means it is always on set with me. So the great thing about Bonner Wine is that they grow their grapes at like 9,000 feet in these vineyards in Argentina. And they make these great Malbec wines that they taste delicious. They've got notes of blackberry, cherry. They pair amazing with a nice steak. Only cook them medium rare. This show only accepts medium rare. We will not accept any other way of cooking your steaks. But the wines are great, and they're very reasonably priced. So you're not going to have to spend a ton. You're also not going to get like a wine that you can get at CVS that tastes like crap. All right, so you got to go over.
Real happy about this.
Sorry, CVS, but Bonner Wines wins out. You got to go over to cowgirlwine2021.com. They're going to give you 50% off of the wine, 50% off of the shipping. You don't need to remember a promo code. You just go to cowgirlwine2021.com. President Biden was not just telling Border Patrol agents that they will pay for seemingly like just doing their job and using their horse reins the way that they're supposed to use their horse reins. They're definitely going to pay for that. He is also telling unvaccinated Americans that they will pay. He is telling them you need to do the right thing and get a shot to protect yourself against COVID-19. Here is Joe Biden earlier today.
The vast majority of Americans are doing the right thing. 3/4 of the eligible have gotten at least one shot, but 1/4 has not gotten any. And in a country as large as ours, that's 25% minority, can cause an awful lot of damage, and they are causing a lot of damage. The unvaccinated overcrowd our hospitals, overrunning emergency rooms and intensive care units, leaving no room for someone with a heart attack or a cancer operation needed to get the life-saving care because the places where they would get that care are crowded. They are not available. The unvaccinated also put our economy at recovery at risk, causing unease in the economy around and causing unease around the kitchen table.
Huh?
I can imagine what's going on in the conversations this morning, and a lot of parents wondering what's going to happen. What's going to happen? Those who have been vaccinated, what's going to happen? Potentially slowing economic growth, costing jobs.
No, what slowed economic growth and cost jobs was when the government literally told us that we could not work and feed their families. I think that was the problem, Joe. The problem is not giving someone the choice of whether or not to take a vaccine. And I ask this all the time. I just have to always ask whoever is on with me, what am I missing? Because if the vaccine works, how is it doing the right thing for your community to take the vaccine if they themselves are protected with the vaccine that you guys are telling us freaking works?
Right.
Please, can anyone answer this question?
I can.
Somehow I knew you'd have some sort of answer for me, Grant.
I just don't need them to protect me from myself.
Right.
So if you've got the vaccine and it's good, I was on an airplane, and my mask is hanging around down my chin.
Mm-hmm.
And
Why are you killing grandmas?
I know. Well, apparently the lady next to me decides to tell me to pull my mask up as I'm pulling into the gate from the flight.
Oh my God.
I said, it's been down the whole flight.
Yeah.
Yes, please pull up your mask. So I pause, I look at her. I said, are you vaccinated? She says, yes, of course I'm vaccinated.
They always are.
I said, then what's the problem? And she says, there can be breakthrough cases. And I look at her and I said, that's some vaccine you got there.
Wait.
I mean.
This is how ridiculous the vaccine is. This is my mask. And it's literally see-through.
Yes.
You could,
cheesecloth.
It's cheesecloth.
Yes.
But everyone's fine when I
Yes.
wear it. That's how the vaccine logic works,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
safe.
Safe.
Totally
right.
safe.
Unsafe. Put it back on. You're scaring me.
Yeah. Are you done taking your sip of water? You need to put your mask back up. It's unbelievable.
my
And it's always the vaccinated people. I did a show with my friend Elijah Schaefer, who's also a host here, earlier today, and he played a video. It was a TikTok video of a guy. He's young, he's fit, he's looks like he works out a lot, right? And he's eating a protein bar, and he has a couple next to him who might as well be dressed in biohazard suits.
Right.
They've got the mask, they've got a face shield, and they're acting like they're like, please put your mask back on. But then the lady lunges towards him with her hand out, I think to take his protein bar. I don't know, which I feel like you wouldn't want to do if you don't want his germs because you're scared of a disease that you are already vaccinated for.
I felt really bad when I saw that video. I mean, those people are obviously mentally unstable. Did you see the video?
That's most liberal side.
That's true. The other thing he's talking about is the economy and the hospitals. And I personally know people who have gotten cancer, didn't get checked for it because of the lockdowns, and they were stalling out. I have a friend who's an anesthesiologist in Florida, and they got rid of elected surgeries, and elected surgeries aren't nose jobs.
Right.
They were things that were important because of this influx supposedly that was going to come from all these COVID patients or unvaccinated COVID patients. It never happened. They just took a break is what happened. And so all these people get put on the back burner. And when they say, and I'm sure you guys know this, I'm preaching to the choir, but when they say that we're at limit at the hospitals, they've gotten rid of beds. It's not because they're completely pouring out full of people.
Yes.
It's all a smoke show. And it's so frustrating to watch some idiot mumbling through sentences that aren't even coherent and then somehow put a spell on the United States of America, like some population that actually believes, probably those people on the airplane, what he's saying.
Right.
And they're just in this obtuse fear of this thing that doesn't even exist.
Do you see what he did there? Is vilified anybody that's unvaccinated. And typically now, who's unvaccinated? Well, I'm going to tell you, black people are large portion unvaccinated. And then conservatives are a large portion of vaccinated. So he vilified, this is the new segregation is what we're watching right here, and we're watching it unfold. They want to pit us against each other, and he's doing a very, very good job of it. He didn't want to politicize. This thing is so politicized.
Yeah, you've got to know you're not doing something quite right if you're a Democrat and you're president of the United States, and somehow the Black Lives Matter protesters and the conservative MAGA hat-wearing people are now together sort of on this issue?
No, totally. Actually, what is it? The circle hammer? I don't know. The Black Lives Matter group that is kind of weird.
Yeah.
They had a call to action to unite with conservatives on this front for a protest.
Wild.
It is wild.
It is.
Like, I really want to get there with you, but I don't know if I get.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't trust you, but if you're the people that they need to listen to tell them this is segregation, I'm totally cool with you being on my team for this. For this. I would also like to say.
From afar, though.
Yeah, saw you mentioned the hospitals and how it's all just kind of smoke and mirrors. I love too how a lot of it is because the hospitals are understaffed because they're making people get the vaccine.
Right.
And so last year they're like, these people are our heroes.
Yes.
And now they're like, you're fired.
Yeah.
And now they don't have enough people. And they're like, well, we don't have the people. We don't have the capacity. We don't have the beds. Maybe try not firing the people who you were calling heroes a year ago when, by the way, there was no vaccine to protect them and they still went every day and did their job.
What gets me is they don't want to talk about any of the preventative and possible treatments. And I won't mention the names because I don't want you to get kicked off social media. But there are legitimate things out there that show some evidence that they work. And the reason they don't want to look at that is because if they do, it renders the vaccine obsolete. You cannot have a 100% success rate in that vaccine of getting everyone 100% vaccinated if there's something that prevents it from happening. Then you don't need the vaccine.
Right. And
so they wage war on those treatments.
So do you think that they are pushing them aside on purpose until they think they can get everyone vaccinated? Because if everyone's vaccinated, well, we don't know if maybe your problem's attributed to the vaccine, but probably not. But we can't tell.
There's no control group.
Yeah, we can't tell you. There is absolutely no control group.
Yeah.
Is that what they're pushing for?
Yeah, I mean, worldwide domination, vaccines, and I mean, this is the thing. We submitted to lockdowns. We submitted to 15 days, turned into over a year.
Hold on, let me say.
Okay.
You guys did. We didn't. Well, maybe some of you out there.
I did.
The large majority. Did you?
Oh my God, I have a picture on my Instagram and I keep it up because I'm a principled person and I like to represent where I started and where I came.
You didn't have to.
Or am now. And I had a mask on. And I actually had a mask on before they said to have a mask on, which is why I probably had the mask on because I don't like being told what to do, right?
Right.
So then once I was in, my dad was like, that's ridiculous and really silly of you to be wearing that. Here's some research, go look into it. And then I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. And then 2 weeks later, I go back to the same information and it's gone. I don't know why. But the point is, what is the point? Why they're doing it?
But
right?
look, you evolved.
I evolved. You can evolve. You can evolve.
That.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I'm on the medicine that cannot be named twice a week as a, what's it called?
Preventative.
Mm-hmm. I feel great. And I think that, some people say, oh, well, if you have health issues, I'm not a doctor, but neither is he, so it's okay.
Right.
That you should get the vaccine. Are we allowed to say that word? Have we been saying that word?
Yeah, it's
okay.
fine.
But I don't think anybody should, because there are preventatives that you can take as soon as you get sick. When you get sick, which will be inevitable because it's not going away, that will cure you, heal you. We don't know what the long-term effects of this injection is. We just don't. So, and now they're actually trying to make the thing that I'm on twice a week as a preventative, they're trying to say that that's actually bad, even though it has had a Nobel Peace Prize awarded to it. They're trying to say that horses lose their sperm count or something, or infertile. It's not a horse.
They always bring it back to the infertility for men or some penis problem. I'm sorry, they always do. They said that with COVID too. They're like, COVID could cause erectile dysfunction just to get men to take it seriously. God, we see what you're doing. Go ahead, last word. He better not. He better not. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Bambi. So if you're a small business owner, you already know this, but HR issues can totally kill your company. You can be liable for wrongful termination suits, minimum wage requirements. You got to remember labor regulations. Big government does not make this thing easy. There's a lot of red tape there. And HR managers, they usually get paid an average of $70,000 a year. So not exactly cheap, but that was why Bambi was created. Okay, you can get a dedicated HR manager. You can craft your HR policy, maintain all of your compliance for $99 a month. Now, I am not the best at math, but I'm fairly certain that $99 a month is way cheaper than $70,000 a year. All right. Bambi can change your HR from your biggest liability to your biggest strength. Your HR manager will be available phone, email, real-time chat, however you would like to communicate with them. They can customize your policies to fit your business. They will help you manage the day-to-day. Again, $99 a month. You can cancel anytime. There are no hidden fees. So they want you to focus on why you got into business, which is to make money. And if you didn't get into business to make money, I don't know what you're doing. All right, go to Bambi.com/matters right now to schedule your free HR audit. That is Bambi.com/matters. So just to wrap up this whole conversation about the vaccine mandate issue, as if all of that wasn't bad enough, the Biden administration actually said in a statement that they will reject a provision in the National Defense Authorization Act that would basically prohibit any service member from being dishonorably discharged if they didn't want to get the vaccine. So the administration is saying, no, we oppose the move to just give honorable discharge. If there's a service member who says, you know what, I don't want to get the vaccine, this apparently is not going to work because this is my body, my choice. And they're saying, no, we will demand that we keep dishonorable discharge on the table for these service members. I mean, I kid you not. I kid you not. Right after all of what happened in Afghanistan happens in Afghanistan, could it be any more obvious that this president, I mean, I would say he hates the military, which I know is true, but it just kind of feels like he hates all of us.
Yeah.
Is it, I mean, I don't want to give Joe Biden a pass, but I think he's so far gone that I'm not even sure it's him. I've said there's a round table of co-conspirators.
That's true.
That involves Valerie Jarrett, Susan Rice, with Ron Klain and maybe Barack Obama on a speakerphone.
Yeah.
And they are literally coming up with every single one of these plots and schemes because I know that crew hates America. They certainly hate the military. And, you know, back in the day, I don't think Joe Biden hated the military. I really don't. Yeah. But Joe Biden blows with the political winds. So whatever would garner him the most power, that was where he would go. During the crime bill, when he was so tough on crime, that's where America was. We wanted people tough on crime, so he was tough on crime. Now that AOC and the squad are in charge of Congress, they're radicals. Well, then I'm going to jump on board with the radicals. But I think at the White House Home for the Elderly, he's not making any decisions.
Well, except which pudding flavor he wants every night.
Exactly.
I think he's
and that's when he gets mad. When he doesn't get chocolate, he gets vanilla. That's when you see the anger.
Exactly. So, what are your thoughts?
Oh, God, it's so depressing to see. I've said this before, and I have friends who say that I'm wrong about this, but I feel like America, as we knew it, is over.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as a point of like defeat, we've lost, I give up or surrender. I'm saying like it's time for all out war, and I
thought we agreed on this.
Oh, we do agree.
That it's broken.
Okay, it's broken. Yeah, it's
not
broken.
over.
But it's done. America, as we knew it,
is done. Yeah.
And the words and the language has been altered. The things that we valued has been disseminated and pissed on, essentially. And it breaks my heart that we just have to. It's like it's full on torture. Like we're in water torture mode. Chinese water torture.
See, I'm not there.
Oh, I'm there.
Really?
No.
Isn't that strange?
Let me tell you something. I know neither one of you are giving up because you two are the greatest freedom fighters that I've ever seen, right? So I know you're not giving up on America.
Right.
The fundamental values of America are still here. We have it. 50% of America has it. I'm not giving up the fact that we're done to a bunch of lunatics that want to change America.
No one says we're done though. But look who's in charge, and we have 3 more years of it.
Yeah, but
and we just have to
win
sit here. Okay.
I will not give up until we win.
How?
Yeah. We keep doing what we're doing. We have to. I called them out last night on the program.
Yep.
Election integrity. I'm tired of people screaming. You know, we got lawmakers in states running around the country. What is a lawmaker in Arizona going to Ohio about election integrity?
Yeah.
How about you pass some laws about election integrity and rein it back in? I'm tired of the bloviating. We have to hold our elected leaders accountable. Force them to action.
Yeah.
We can do it as a mass. They cannot stop us. I promise you. We all get together in one unified front. They cannot stop us.
Yes.
We have to hold them accountable. Otherwise, it is lost and done.
Yes. And what you're talking about is massive organization skills, which we're not very good at because we're very independent and free-willed. So if anyone is a good organizer, please DM me because I want to get ahead of this. But the other component to this is our future, our children. Yeah. And there's actually whatever Gen Z, whatever the letter it is, I don't know. They're very conservative, allegedly. And I've run into so many 16 to 25-year-olds. My son's 8. He's very conservative. I mean, I shoved it down his throat from a very young age. But, you know, they're our future. And like the agenda to dismantle and destroy America has been decades long. We have to put in the effort that will be a 40, 50-plus year program to get it back. And so in the next 3 years, I'm going to be really upset because I think that we're just going to be subjected to this torture and this disregard for our military and citizens. But maybe by the time I'm 80, America will be back. You know?
Before 80.
Okay.
Before 80.
I mean, that would be nice. But part of me is like, do I want to come back together with a group of people who ultimately hate me, don't want me to exist? Okay, great. I'm glad because I'm like, I don't want that.
We steamroll them. Okay. They don't get a say in the deal anymore. Now it becomes, you know what, we're strong parents and we're doing what's right for America. Sometimes the majority is wrong. Yeah. It's unconstitutional. If the majority is wrong and it's unconstitutional, it's still unconstitutional. The minority has to stand up and do what's right for freedom in America. I don't care what they think. I don't care what they have to say. It's about time we steamroll them.
It's also great because they think that you shouldn't be having children for the environment, so they'll just stop breeding.
Well,
and our children will be the ones to carry on the legacy, hopefully, if it's not.
You've got to make choices, Carrie says. Climate or the Uyghurs or genocide.
Right.
Sometimes you got to make tough choices. The climate's more important, he says. Save the turtles, give up lives.
It's incredible. You could not make this stuff up if you tried. All right, before we have to go to break, I do want to bring up another piece of news, which is former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is moving forward to appeal his conviction and sentence in the murder case of George Floyd. His attorney argued in this notice of appeal that the judge in his case abused his discretion and made multiple errors during the trial. Chauvin plans to raise 14 separate issues, including the judge's decision to deny his request to move the trial out of Hennepin County because of the intense pretrial publicity, and that he improperly denied requests to grant him a new trial, sequester the jury during trial, and disqualify clearly biased potential jurors during jury selection. Those are just some of many of the claims here. What are your thoughts on this? I honestly, I mean, if this is justice, then I want justice to happen in the way that it was intended to happen, but I am very leery of the public, hearing about this case again. I don't want to relive the summer of 2020. I just don't want to relive that.
But there are some serious problems with what he raised there. I mean, he has some legitimate points here. Policies were not followed in the fact, we've talked about this. Yeah. So I've trained with police officers. I'm certified in advanced patrol tactics.
I brought this to the table. Like the last time you were on the show, we probably talked about this.
And so you cannot keep a suspect down like that for as long as you did, especially if they're on drugs. You have problems with lungs and all those things. He should have sat him up way earlier. But again, to convict him of murder is I believe still a tall order. Now the jury spoke, but there are these issues. So everyone is entitled to a defense in America. Everyone is allowed to appeal their case, whether you like it or not. They're going to go crazy over this, and they're going to put pressure on the judicial system. You talk about America that's broken. Our judicial system is broken with activist judges and juries that don't judge on the law anymore. They do whatever their liberal oligarch master tells them to do.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts?
I'm with you. I think he deserves his due process. Right. If he wants to, I don't care anymore. I think it, and I don't mean that in like a heartless sort of way, but
it's hard to get your mind back in the place that we're just going to relive this again.
That peaceful summer of 2020.
The summer of love.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a case that's been weaponized.
Right.
You have millions of interactions every day with police officers. They go without a hitch. And you take one, maybe two, and they weaponize it against police officers, against us, to divide the country. That's all they're going to do.
Well, it's fascinating that they did all of this. They burned down cities over the supposed racism. And here in the case, even though they convicted him, there was no mention of racism in any of the entire trial. No one claimed it. No one said he was racist. No one used any sort of evidence to prove that he was racist. Like, it just was not even mentioned in the trial. Yet we'll hear about it again as this goes on. All right, we have got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar, which they have provided the snack of the day. I gave them, I was like, you guys have to try this. It's a Built Puff.
You gonna try one right now?
Yeah, you don't have to eat it right now, but you can wait.
You get chocolate in your mouth.
Yeah, I know eating on camera is like.
I think that's how you sell it, you guys.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
No, I've done it. Trust me. I eat Built Bars on camera all the time because they're my favorite. And just so you guys know, I talk about the cookie dough chunk being my favorite flavor. Today is the last day to get that flavor. It just came back. So if you want to try it, now's the time. If you're not sure what flavor you want, you can get a mix box. You can get 2 of each of their 9 regular flavors. So it's like you're eating a candy bar. You're going to think you're cheating on your diet, but you're not. You're eating a protein bar that has like 18 grams of protein. There are 180 calories or less. There's 4 to 5 grams of sugar, depending on the bar, and 4 to 5 net carbs. And like I said, it doesn't taste like it. It tastes way better than cardboard, which is what you're eating now if you're eating a protein bar that is supposedly healthy. All right, this one's healthy and it tastes great. Go to built.com, use promo code news15 to save 15% off of your first order. That is news15 over at built.com. Today, apparently, red flag gun confiscation has passed the House of Representatives. It was 316 to 113 with the support of 135 Republicans, including, I will just say, Dan Crenshaw here in Texas. I have a feeling that my friend here, Grant, might have a little bit to say about that.
Why would you think that? Why would anyone think that I would have something to say about that?
It's just a feeling that I get.
Why would any Republican support any gun control law whatsoever in Congress, in a state house, in City Hall? I don't care. We have to be pushing back on this. Red flag laws take away all due process. And this is what they want. The ultimate goal is confiscation. So if I have a neighbor that doesn't like the fact that I'm on Newsmax and says, oh, I'm scared of him walking in and out of his house with guns. Next thing you know, they're coming and taking my firearms from me without any due process because of a red flag from some left-wing neighbor who doesn't like guns. This is the kind of thing that'll happen. And, Dan Crenshaw, he's so good on some things. And then some things he's so disappointing on. I don't understand it. And so I wish maybe, he does those videos that some are really good and some aren't. If he'd like to call me, I can walk him through this issue if he'd like. Dan, if you'd like, reach out to me. Stinchfield 1776.
You said at the beginning, why would any Republican vote? He's not. I don't think he is. And I don't think anyone who is a Republican who has anything against the Second Amendment should just admit they're on the wrong side. It's so dangerous, and it goes back to what I'm talking about America being, as we knew it, done. Because it's unconstitutional. You can't just come in and take our weapons away because someone doesn't feel. It's all about feeling, right? They don't feel
like they might.
There's no facts involved. There's no tangible evidence even necessary, but my feelings are, being triggered.
Right. And by the way, this could include, Grant, as you mentioned, your neighbor. It could include an ex. Right? Because what possible reason would an ex-spouse have to try to pin that on you?
Well, look at what happened to Larry Elder when he was running for governor in California. He had an ex-girlfriend come out and say, oh, he waved a gun at me, which I think was all bogus. You say that, oh, he waved a gun at me yesterday, go confiscate his firearms. This is what the Democrats are brilliant at, though. They take issues that are really hard to defend when you look at it just from a surface level. So red flag laws. Well, I don't want the abuser to have guns because he's going to kill his girlfriend who's living in the house. Well, we don't want that either. So we now have to argue the point about, well, what about due process? What about the innocent guy who should go to court and be able to tell the judge, no, this is the case with me before anybody takes his guns? Just like the terrorist no-fly list. There are mistakes on that all the time. Yet the Democrats make us argue of why someone on the no-fly list should be allowed to have guns. They put you in this position, and it's all about PR.
And it's so annoying to have to be the sensible, thoughtful, explanatory person all the time. I want to be able to say those broad strokes and people be like, yeah, because you're so dumb, you don't have to think past it. But to be a conservative, you have to actually be kind of bright and like think these things through beyond just the red flag law, you know?
Yeah. That's so true. All right, before we go, I do want to bring up Chris Cuomo, CNN's Chris Cuomo, who was accused of sexual harassment by his former boss. Now, according to her, she was an executive producer at ABC News. She said she was at a party with her husband, and Cuomo entered the bar. He walked toward her and greeted her with a strong bear hug while lowering one hand to firmly grab and squeeze the cheek of her buttocks. And apparently he said, "I can do this now that you're no longer my boss." That's interesting. I can't possibly imagine Chris Cuomo ever. Oh, no, wait, yeah, I can.
See, he didn't do, when you hug a coworker, you have to flip your hips back away.
Or do the side hug.
Or the side hug and lean in. You certainly don't go for grabbing anything. But, you know, he did write an email to her right after. If you read the whole story, he wrote an email right after, say, "Hey, I'm sorry about that. The husband was mad." I think the husband got mad, and who knows, maybe they had a little flirtatious thing going on. I don't know. I think this whole thing starts to annoy me. Why is she coming out now?
I mean, that's true, but it does sound very Chris Cuomo to say, "I can do this now that you're no longer my boss," as if like that's the issue.
In the email, he acknowledges he understands what it's like to be a husband, because the husband was standing right behind her, right?
Yeah.
So he was a husband while
groping
a woman.
See now, what I think she should be really angry with, what she should have been really angry with, is why her husband's just watching and not walking and punching him in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could spend a whole segment on like the wussification of men in America, specifically liberal men.
Some dude grabs my wife's, can you say ass?
Yeah.
Some dude
we just said
grabs my wife's ass.
Yeah.
I'm going to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think that would be justified.
That's acceptable.
I think it would.
Well, I mean, grabbing someone else's rear is assault.
How rude is that?
I know. And how cocky.
I would have punched him in the face.
Yeah, exactly. How cocky to be like, "Oh, I can do this now. You can grab women's asses if they're not your boss, you know." It's just, it runs in the family. All right. The Cuomo family apparently is no stranger to sexual harassment and sexual assault. All right, we got to take a break. We will be right back. All right, it's Friday, which means it is time for some hate mail. My producer has pulled hate mail to me on whatever social media platform it happens to be found in, which, I mean, it's found in all of them. Let's be real. Here's one from Mrs. B. Blessed to see another day. It's interesting to see the word blessed in her name. Hey, coconut. The Haitians are coming. The Haitians are coming. Don't worry, pendeja. They won't be in your neighborhood. Which I don't, how do you know if they'll be in my neighborhood?
Yes, they will.
Well, also, it's like, are you saying that they're all going to be poor? Because that's not very, I mean, that's kind of racist.
Well, yes, I know you live in a very fancy neighborhood.
I mean, I'm not in a gated community, I'll just say that.
Listen, all joking aside, they are out to destroy the suburbs in America.
Yes, 100%.
And so they want to dilute the suburbs, turn them into migrant centers, turn them into inner cities so they can push the same Democrat policies on the suburbs, and Republicans will never win again if that happens.
Yeah. Here's one from Jermaine. He's a real peach. He said, "I hope this bitch gets hit by a car."
Let me tell you something, Jermaine. See, now that's what's going to make me angry.
Oh, boy, here we go.
I'm coming out. Well, I'm not. I mean, nobody talks to Sarah that way, right?
It's just so funny.
Those are what I call death, not threats, but invitations.
Yes. Yeah. I do get a lot of those. And then one more from John, just for funsies. He says, "She's too skinny, but she's good at her job."
Oh, heck yeah. That's like a compliment.
I mean, it almost makes you wonder, like, but why even say the first part? You could have just led with "she's great at her job."
Well,
you're not his type, is what he was saying.
That's all.
Yes, I don't know.
Take that as a compliment.
You know what? I'm taking it as a compliment. The hit by a car thing too. I'm just going to take it as a compliment. Yeah. All right. It was so great to have you guys. Will you come back on?
Absolutely.
You too, Grant.